What's up, Dank homies? Nero here, and welcome to my brand new series, Warframe Best Builds! Pretty much, Warframe Best Builds is pretty much exactly like my previous series, which is how to build and how to use, but with a more clickbaity title. What I'll be doing in this series is I will be telling you guys different builds that I come up with that I find to be the top tier best builds I can come up with. Of course, these aren't the only builds you have to use, but take them as like a guide where like you take that build and you can add on or change to those builds to make them fit your playstyle. So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Orvius. Now, the Orvius is a weapon you get after completing the War Within. I'm not going to give any other details as far as that goes because I don't want to spoil it. So if you haven't played the War Within yet, go play the War Within and then come back because I need the views. So the Orvius has a passive for when you throw a charge attack while you're holding your secondary weapon, or if you throw a channeled attack when you're just holding the Orvius by itself, you will suspend the enemy in the air. So right now I have my Raptor Ballistica in my second hand. If I throw a perfect charge attack or channeled attack, let me first break that shield. For some reason it's a little buggy, but here we go. Then the enemy will be suspended in the air like that, and it will tick damage over time. And that power, that ability right there is stupid strong. And then like I'm gonna show, if you just hold it by itself and you channel, then it will suspend them in the air. Also, it's very important to note that the Orvius does cause self-damage when it explodes at the end of its passive hovering thing. So sorry bro, but we're going down together.
NANI?! お前はもう死んでいる。
Together. So my builds go as such. I have Astral Twilight, which is irrelevant because you're never going to actually swing the weapon unless you just really want to just get some enemy that's near you out of your face. But it really doesn't matter what stance you have, just I prefer having this one on. I have Condition Overload, which this mod is really important, and I'll show you guys why in just a second. I have Spoiled Strike for extra damage. I have Fever Strike for extra toxin damage. I have another toxin mod for even more toxin damage, and I have this mod just to turn all that toxin damage into gas. Now, the way gas is calculated, it will take all of your damage mods, it will take all the damage mods, and it will take all the toxin mods and make its gas damage calculation. It doesn't matter about the heat mod. Your only reason why you have the heat mod is to increase the status chance as well as turn it into gas. I'm also using Smite Grenier, which you can use any of the 3 Smite mods depending on what you're going against. Like, you can use Smite Grenier, Smite Corpus, and Smite Infested, but I really don't use the Smite mods for any other faction other than Grenier because Grenier do have armor and the weapon's gonna need that little bit of backup because this makes a strong difference between whether or not you're using this mod. Now let's talk for a little second about how Condition Overload works with gas damage. Alright, so first things first, we have to look at what Condition Overload does. What it will do is for every status proc, we're gonna call this status proc, for every status proc, we get an extra 60% extra damage for every status proc that's on one Grenier enemy or whatever enemy we got going on here. Let's draw Clem. It's Clem. So now, what does gas do? When you proc gas on someone, it stinks. No, when you proc gas on something, it will proc 2 things. It will proc both gas itself and it will proc toxin. So you got 2 things there. So then these 2 things will equal 120% extra damage. Now, gas, when you put gas on a weapon, you can also put magnetic. So when you put magnetic in there, that also increases this to 180% extra damage. I definitely messed up that percent sign. So now, how do we further capitalize on this? Well, it's not just those element procs, but you can also get procs like Puncture. I think this is the puncture sign. You get slash, looks like that. And then there's impact, because impact actually works with Condition Overload as well, but for a very short amount of time. So now, what if we were to get those things, get toxin, get magnetic and gas in there. And not even just that, but also get viral in there as well. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 60% times 7. All that. So if we can get all this to happen at once, we get 60% times 7 extra damage for the Orvius. Now, take all this and then multiply all that times 8. That's a lot of damage! Now, unfortunately, you can't get all of those status procs with the Orvius by itself. But in a recent update, you can now use the Orvius while having your secondary weapon in your hand. So, let's see the difference between using the secondary weapon and not using the secondary weapon. So here goes how much damage I would do without using the secondary weapon. And this is stealth damage because I turned off their AI. It's ticking, it's ticking. Didn't even kill him. Get out of here. Now let's see how much damage I do while using my secondary weapon. Now you can use the secondary before or after you throw it. It doesn't really matter. You do get more damage if you do shoot before you throw, but it's not really that big of a difference. So he's suspended. Let's start proccing stuff on there. Oh look! He's instantly dead. Now I bet you're wondering, what does that look like without the stealth damage? Well, let's take a look. Oh, reloading. He's dead. Also, one more thing to note down. Currently, we're in the simulacra room, but outside of the simulacra room, I'll be able to gain affinity, and the Rock the Ballistica will actually have an AoE proc of viral, so that's another 60% extra damage to add on to the damage I just did just now. So, which secondary do I recommend for the Orvius? I recommend the Rock the Ballistica or the Zacti. And the reason why I recommend the Zacti is because the Zacti has a passive where enemies that are affected by the bullets here, they actually become open to finishers, which means that they are open to stealth damage. So you can use practically any frame with the Orvius now. So like you got this guy over here, and I'm not going to be invisible, but I shoot that down, now they're open to finishers. Let me actually put that on him again. Stealth damage. Now, how would you mod the Rock the Ballistica and the Zacti? For the Rock the Ballistica, I would mod it for gas and magnetic, just so you can get those extra proc lines in there, so that you have both gas and toxin, and you have magnetic, and you have viral because of the AoE proc, and you have these 3 statuses here. And then you just shoot it where it will shoot a volley of arrows, so you can get as many procs as possible. But as for the Zacti, I would mod this for corrosive and heat, or I can mod it for viral and radiation. The reason being is because it already has gas on it. So you already have the gas and toxin, and then corrosive will strip any armor that's on the enemy, and will also add to condition overload, and then heat will also do the same thing as well. And lastly, why would you use the Orvius with a secondary weapon rather than just using it by itself? Well, there's a few very obvious reasons, very easy reasons to explain why you would want to go about that. When you have the Orvius with the secondary weapon, it doesn't cost you any energy to do a charge throw. So you can see I'm still at 700 energy there. And it does significantly more damage than when it's by itself. So when I just equip the Orvius by itself and I do a charge throw, you can see it costs me energy there. And also, I bet some of you guys are wondering, Nero, where are the glyph codes? Well, you know what? Here goes a few glyph codes on the screen. So that's my way of thanking you for watching the video this far. And for those of you who didn't watch the video this far, congratulations, you played yourself. But let's say you weren't able to get a glyph code right now. Well, let me tell you how you can actually get my glyph code. You can get it randomly in YouTube videos like I did a few seconds ago. You can get it randomly on my Twitter, where I randomly post codes there, or now where I will do glyph giveaways on my Twitch page, because now I will be live streaming on the regular. Like on Sundays and Thursdays will be my main days of streaming, so you guys can come on by and hang out with me, and I'll also be streaming when the Plains of Eidolon comes out, so look forward to that. Now, in conclusion, I am in love with the Orvius. The thing is stupid powerful, and this is like my third build on the Orvius, and hopefully my last, but I'm pretty sure it won't be my last because there's always changes going on for this thing. But when there is a change, I definitely will be updating my build. But that's really all I have to say for today's video, and if you guys enjoyed today's video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet and you want to become a part of the Dank family, then go ahead and do so, and I will see you guys later. Peace!
Don't change, don't change, don't change, even though life ain't the same. Say, don't change, don't change, don't change, life gon' make it happen anyway. And I say, don't change, don't change, don't change, even though life ain't the same. And I say, don't change, don't change, don't change, no matter what you do, gonna happen anyway. Hit me up on message.